This was the most important event in human history when man first ventured into heaven's realm. The stories are on display in Chauvet Cave. The finger of God touched us here. I am Sir Knight Darrell Brees, a fluids engineer, scripture scholar, and expert on metaphysic symbolism. Unveiling Chauvet's stories will enlighten you. Secrets from the dawn of time, which may bring peace on earth. Let's start with the owl graphic drawn in the Hilaire chamber. He is shown asleep, as most divine messages manifest in lucid dreams. The owl symbolizes flight, prophecy, and higher wisdom. These eyes of nocturnal vision were naturally associated with the god of dreams, Oniris. They are still painted on the bows of boats today. Goddess Athena was often seen with the owl, and she gifted Pegasus' wisdom and prophecy to the Muses. Moving on, the Sacred Heart of the Cross in the original entry chamber is simple and prophetic, a prophecy which later became the symbol and foundational cornerstone of Christianity. It was painted 35,000 years ago, the first to predict the coming Messiah. Later, Magians, Jews, Mithraic, Zoroaster, and others also recorded this prophecy. The wall contours were selected specifically to enhance the three-dimensional depth of the graphic. The cross symbol explodes out of the heart of the earth and speaks volumes to transfiguration, love, and sacrifice. Scripture tells us Christ was crucified on a tree, and dozens of cross symbols existed within 200 years after the crucifixion of Jesus. But this specific simple cross eventually became the most popular. Many other religions have a similar story. The Norse god Odin also sacrificed himself, laying on the great ash tree, the Yggdrasil, upside down for 9 days. This tree and other trees of life in Scripture are considered synonymous with the winged horse. Odin's great cosmic tree was also called the steed of Odin. Now back to the large Hilaire chamber with our next graphic. Remember, the prophetic shaman had finger puttied the owl here. That tells us he received his prophetic visions in the ascension dream. This has happened to countless others down through history. This artist paints his vision and these stories, which will eventually become scripture, an arc that spans over 30,000 years of history. The star of this magical mural is a winged horse who can symbolize the spiritual bodies of God or man, but here as the creator in this Genesis of the World mural. 6 meters wide, it's our first story of creation, a very good one. The divine equine leads this simple celebration parade. Note first this horse cherub's front hoof, which is artfully tapered for emphasis. The steed is shown striking a three-dimensional mountaintop, which is set subtly in the foreground, gushing forth a symbolic waterfall of inspired life, being, and creation. 28,000 years later, the same story of life from mud is Bible scripture, as Adam, the first man, was made from earth's clay. In Greco-Roman lore, the specific details are identical, as Pegasus was credited with using his front hooves to strike the ground of the earth and generate the fountain of the Muses, inspiring the root of all creativity. This record of mythology is from Eric Newman's book, Origins and Consciousness. Now we know this myth was based on fact, tangible, relic-based fact. It is amazing how this little hoofstrike story remained unchanged. Our Creator's steed multitasks, urinating a white cloud of life-sustaining water, which, if you look closely, is already producing lightning sparks to the left side onto the earth below. Scientists today speculate a combination of lightning and amino acids may have sparked life. Looks like they were right. The Greek creator Zeus and other gods were also associated with lightning. Looking right, vertical streams of soma are seeding or specifically inseminating the earth. These lines clearly point back to the steed's most male parts. This horse of the creator resembles the ancient Tarpan wild horse. Were Chauvet horse skeletons Tarpans? There were two of them. This horse angel of the Lord demonstrates effort and wide-eyed determination. His head is lowered and wings swept back in definite work mode. The thick, Ice Age mane crests and possibly falls to the far side of the neck, allowing full view of that stylized wing. The spiritual wing always represents enlightenment, symbolized later by the flowing Greco-Roman chlamys, a cloak. I even had one growing up. The divine horse is known by many names: throne, magic carpet, cow, paraclete, unicorn, chariot, shamanic altaic drum, Ophanim wheel, tree of life, and key to heaven. All good names. This inspired parade includes the mammoth white elephant, who still symbolizes the universal monarch in Hinduism and Buddhism today. Incredibly, the shaman drew a parade dress tassel that springs forward from the high point of this majestic beast's shoulders, indicating body adornment, possible domestication, and celebration. His flowing perimeter outlines were drawn to indicate his movement in this parade. Very impressive. The huge snooted pig boar on the left is colored white to indicate its angelic nature. It stands confronting the parade. It has dual symbolism, known today in the Occidental world as the adversary, devil, sloth of the earth. It is ready to tempt, but Oriental religions embrace it as it promotes luck, prosperity, and fertility. Insightful, very insightful. There is another mammoth in the background between the horse and pig, showing life already spreading out. This wonderful mural overlooks Chauvet's only sinkhole, which still symbolizes death, the afterlife, Hades, and may have been used here in Chauvet for ceremonial burial. Our first creation story, the bulk shared by religions today. Incredible common ground from the dawn of humanity. Let's now explore the end chamber in Chauvet, which scientists call the Holy of Holies. This dominant off-the-arc mural is 9 meters long and displays animals parading from right to left from an arc-like hatch. Herbivore woolly rhinoceros is following lions. The near vertical pitch black mark to the right of the niche was scraped on with a torch and represents a slightly angled opening in the ark. The ark was later recorded in Bible Genesis 6:11 and 6:16 as having been sealed with pitch inside and out. The unnatural procession of herbivores and carnivores all seem mesmerized, possibly preoccupied with their assigned duties to repopulate the earth, but weeks living in the stifling air of a zoo-like ark might have contributed. The balance of fauna life as recorded in Genesis 8:19 is represented by insect art forms, completing the biggest do-over in history. Magical Chauvet overlooks the Pont d'Arc, or Rainbow Bridge. We know God pledges a rainbow covenant in Genesis 9:13 to never again flood the earth. Coincidence? There are many flood stories in history, with the two major epics of Gilgamesh and Noah being basically identical. After the flood, Noah was told to go forth, multiply, and cover the earth. God didn't say to leave out southern France. Noah also planted a vineyard, as recorded in Genesis 9:20. We see beautiful French vineyards today outside Chauvet Grotto. Noah might have been the first to drink French wine. Yes, Chauvet's main artist might have been on the ark. The Bible tells us the stories of creation and flood were known by the first 7 generations of humans. Adam and Noah were reported to live just 50 years apart. The star of this first flood story is our busy horse cherub, symbolizing the angel of the Lord, one of our first composite narratives. The horse as recreator is appropriately centered in the chapel-like niche, brilliantly drawn with its spiritual and embodied nature overlapping. The shaman artist chose this niche for its twin peaks, symbolic of the mountains recorded in the Gilgamesh and Noah flood epics, and looking closely, we see the niche also resembles a heart. Scripture tells us our spirit lives there in our hearts. Daniel 4:18. The tablet of our heart is recorded in the Old Testament Proverbs 3:3 and 7:3. The spiritual angelic white horse in the background is made by scraping the white limestone wall. Its eye is watching as its embodiment performs the divine task of pumping the spirit and soul of life back into the earth. Holy essence from the Creator's body to give mankind another chance. The red ochre painted below symbolizes blood and the seed of life on earth being revitalized, as recorded in Genesis 9:4. The neatly drawn umbilical cord from the horse's heart has many names in various religions. The Bible's book of Ecclesiastes 12:6 named it the silver cord. The Old Testament reports grateful Noah built an altar and made sacrifices to the Lord. There is a small altar in Chauvet, which may have been pried from the ceiling or divinely fell into place. Were the horse skeletons in Chauvet remains from sacrifices to give thanks or promote prophecy, as we see later on in history? Or both? Looking to the right foreground of the Off the Ark mural, we see a painted stalactite. This displays a composite creature whose upper left side is a lioness and upper right is a bull, both sharing the Venus lower torso. This clearly shows how procreation works. The hanging stalactite was chosen as it clearly reinforces the theme's penal nature. This first Venus would be copied in statue and art down through history. Ancient man sculpted many handheld Venus figurines. Celebrating life is serious business. The sexual act rewards us with ecstasy, vibrational orgasm, which tunes us as with actual grace. This bull is shown creating life and symbolized male sexual vigor to ancient man. The bull would later be the sun god in many cultures, including the great Egyptian line and into early Judaism. The sun was given thanks and glory by ancient man as our most prevalent daily gift. Today we still give thanks for a warm sunny day. Bull idolatry was eventually stopped short by Moses after his first trip up Mount Sinai. This Venus vulva has an etched-in vertical line which might have been added later. This first Venus may have been the best. The bull Minotaur of Greek legend was eventually assigned to lord over the outer rings of Hades, and amazingly, his spirit of the underworld still shows up in visions today. The sacristy chamber has a very narrow access from the end chamber. The sacred horse is painted here with a symbolic horn shown impaling the instinctual lion, which is our soul's symbolic representative. French experts identified the horse and feline. Not quite as clear as other Chauvet art, but this exact scene and lore live on today. The lion and unicorn are rivals. They are the Tao, the way. A harmonious yet struggling intertwined union which symbolizes the freedom of choice in life. The ongoing turmoil of our perfect spirit contending with the imperfect human soul. This is the path we must endure to get to heaven. You live this story of life every day. You know its validity in your heart. This story is emblazoned on my sword's hilt, along with more unicorns and fleur-de-lis, symbol of the Trinity, made in Toledo, Spain. The Lord is often depicted riding the unicorn, which points the way. The unicorn is a wonderful spiritual variation of our mount. The Pennsylvania Dutch used a double unicorn and the tree of life hex signs to promote peace and harmony. This unicorn allegory was actually banned by the Catholic Church in the 1800s, but now the magisterium may horn in on that. So we have revealed the secret art graphics in Chauvet and unveiled a little bit of the spiritual world for you, this fine cherub, and some of the answers to the age-old questions. I will put out an extended metaphysical introduction to these graphic interpretations with a timeline of appearances from history following it. Enjoy them. Peace.